Hello, welcome to Anything Relevant. I want to talk about change today. Change that Canada needs to make. Change that even BC alone needs to make. And it's involving the medical fields. It's involving how people of Canada, when they have any type of affliction, disease, virus, injury, how they're taken care of. We have a bloated budget on what is spent on a lot of useless things. We need to start taking care of the people. If you start taking care of the people, you got more competent people making more potent competition in society for jobs, for performance. It would enhance our society. But currently, we let a lot of people slip through the fingers, and that's because of lack of money. Now, if we were to tighten up all these other fields that are bloated, we'd have the money for it. But we would also be getting rid of some bureaucratic or administrative jobs. These people are going to want to defend their position, and rightfully so. I do agree that these people that have these jobs that in existence alone is obstructing change and progress within the medical field, the medical treatment, all of that together is being held up and slowed down. We're catching up to things that we wanted to implement decades ago. It's already too late. Major overhaul is needed, and it's needed desperately. Canada needs to dare to be first. We're lagging behind in a lot of other fields, whether it's education, job opportunities, and homelessness. Here's an example. Sweden, as of recently, has implemented a new homeless program where all empty vacancies will be filled with homeless people. And they're giving an opportunity to work with the government to get back into the working force. So it's not just giving them a home, it's giving them a home with a plan to contribute. You can't just do, another example, universal basic income and expect that to fix everything. It will not. If everyone has $1,000 a month from the government to help things over, if you're at the bottom percent, it's going to help you. You're still going to need to work. You're still going to need to provide for yourself. But this $1,000 is going to decrease the stress and anxiety that people at the bottom are suffering. And the further up you go, the less you're going to need it, to the point where you're not getting it anymore because you have a job that's self-sustaining and you're a solid contributor to our society. So you can't just do one thing to change and hope for the best. You got to have responsibility. If you're going to give someone $1,000, that's not responsibility. That's just paying them off. That's not going to fix anything. Anyone that disagrees with universal income is going to say, well, they're going to do nothing. They're going to collect this money and do nothing. Well, if that's all the program is, then that's exactly what they'll do. But if the program was get you $1,000, but get you on track to eventually get off the $1,000, you can't have it without the participation. Then you're looking at something that's taken responsibility in fullness. They're given the money, but they're also expecting you to get off it. This would also create jobs. This is going to be a branch within the government that's going to need to deal with the people that receive this aid. And the whole point is to have no one on it. Not to expand and expand and expand to the point where you got half the population of your country on it. That's not going to solve anything. So with BC Health Authority, the Health Ministry, and all the other factions that I can't even name off the top of my head, all these need to change. These are those positions that I understand why they would defend their jobs. I do. Everyone's got bills to pay. I'm not going to take anyone's job away with if I were in charge and made some changes. I would just retrain people for very similar fields, nothing drastically different. If you're dealing with people people that have a bad hand of cards because they were born into poverty and they have no example to follow to become successful, so they're just repeating the failures of the generation before. These people cannot lose their job and just be thrown into an unrelated field. These people have built an experience bank of dealing with people at the bottom. They know how to talk to them. They know how to reach through to them. So this is why I don't want to eliminate any jobs that currently exist in these departments, these fields in British Columbia, and how we handle injuries, disease, and virus, and everything else. We should have universal health care. We should have universal education. These things, having more people healthy and highly educated, working within the society that we've built, would make a stronger economy. It'd have more of a reason for people to want to come here. Having open doors, I don't agree with. Having a program to become a Canadian citizen, I 100% agree with. Do I think we should have our doors shut to certain countries? Absolutely not. But I don't want people coming in willy-nilly, and I don't want people to feel like they got to go through a 10-year program just to become a citizen. These are two extremes I do not want. But going back to the medical, I know I'm jumping all over the place, but all this is connected. Now, with the medical aspect, with mental health, with cancer, with injuries that require surgery as well as equipment to aid these injuries like prosthetics or braces and whatnot. Talking about braces, let's talk about the other braces for your teeth, the dentistry field. All of this needs to be under the same umbrella. We're becoming so impoverished trying to keep up with what is actually required for people that are injured or needing any type of aid. And to expect them to be able to pay for these things that a lot of these people never had a choice in. Life happened to them, or they were born that way. You can't expect everyone just to pull their bootstraps up and then get right back at it. If you think that, you're living in a deluded world because maybe you yourself came from a very hard life and then did that. You got to understand that you're a part of a small community of people that can go through hell and end up on top. And if you did not go through hell, if you were born into a house with both parents working, 1 or 2 vehicles and 1 vacation or 2 a year, then you have no idea what you're talking about. It's not that you don't have a right to say anything about it, you just don't have any context or experience to have a worthwhile opinion. You're an outsider. The only way to become an insider is to become more involved and more educated. If you want to eliminate a lot of problems that you have in any country, I tell you, it's education. If you have a highly educated population, they're going to need less help because they're going to be more independently capable. You're going to breed self-reliance. So, change. It's absolutely needed. We need to be number one. Not in the sense of a competitive, we have to be number one. But if we were number one in these fields, and we showed the rest of the world that your country can exist and not be tanked by taking care of the people that actually keep it going. Because we know exactly what's going on. It's this upper class living off the lower class. This lower class impoverished level is just a reword for slavery. And if you think that I'm being extreme, let me explain it to you this way. There's no upward mobility. There's no liquid assets to rely on. There's debt that you are connected to that you have to pay off. There's an uncontrolled expense that keeps rising with a wage that doesn't keep up with it. What do you expect that to turn into? What do you expect that to be anything other than slavery? Because you cannot miss a single day of work when you have these conditions. Not a single one. And if you and your partner have kids to support and you're both living at this level, And both of you got maybe 3 to 5 jobs between you. Can't afford to miss a single day. You can't afford a single argument at work. You can't afford the best food for your children to grow healthy. We now know that sugar contributes and intensifies anxiety with inflammation in the brain. And with a very low wage, the food that you will be consuming will be high in sugar, high in trans fat, high in these type of factors that really intensify and exacerbate your anxiety and your depression. Then you talk about the lack of money that you got. That's more pressure. Then you got your children that you're looking at. You cannot provide for them the way that you want to. Dad, Mom, can I play soccer? One of the cheapest sports to play? No, don't have the money for it. How is this not slavery to life? That they're not living an existence that is even worth living. So you were able to change how we have things going, to identify the fact that we have so many people getting left behind with no care. There are people that are trying, they collect, and that's so, I want to say insulting, but it's also very sad, the fact that we got volunteers not being paid to collect money for things that the government cannot cover for the bottom. Here's another example of something like this, but this is in America. When Walmart was exposed for underpaying their employees, they asked the employees that worked for Walmart that were getting paid well to buy gift baskets of groceries for the lowest paid employees. It was an incentive. It was a request. That was their idea of solving the fact that their net income that they carve up at the bank, that's all been taxed and all that, all those millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars, the thought of taking 10% off of that and redistributing it at the bottom never even entered their head. Maybe it did and it got talked down. Isn't that a little more horrifying? So here's what it's exactly what I'm getting at. We're not doing the proper steps to take care of the bottom. You got people like Sheldon Adelson, one of the richest people in America, that he funds Republican nominees and governors and who knows else, what fingers he's got in business. But this guy has got all this money, he's got all this pull, and the only thing that he's afraid of, he's not afraid of Russia invading Alaska. He's not afraid of China waging war out on the oceans. He's not afraid of any other nation going up against America. What he's afraid of is what happened in 17 whatever during the Great Terror in France. That's what he's afraid of. It was something that he admitted in an interview or in a conversation. It was the fact that a world conflict, the idea of World War III doesn't even enter his mind. World War III doesn't. Fighting Russia doesn't. This guy that sits at the top of a pyramid has a pretty good look of the lay of the land, has no fear of a global conflict involving different nations. What he's afraid of is a class war from the bottom. And there's only one reason for someone that rich to worry about something like that. It's because the top are absorbing too much. You got celebrities of the musical fields, of the acting fields, of any of the entertainment fields that are wealthy. They call the amount of money that they have an immoral amount of money. It's immoral to have that amount of money. When you're at the top of the pyramid, there is no new toilet that is going to be better than the standard toilet. There's no new cutting edge this, that, the other that's better than what you already have. And if it is, you can afford it anyway. So when you get to a certain cap with how much money that you've earned, there's no new silverware. There's no new dishware. No new table. Oh, the new 200 model table. No, there isn't. Once you're that wealthy and you bought in all your little thises and your little that's, the innovation past a lot of these expensive items are not as quick as you imagine that they are. Technology is, but not tables and chairs and clothing. All these high-level expenses, they're meaningless. It's middle class people making money off the wealthy. Art is all on how you value it and how you look at it. It's the same thing with a museum. You can have a clear plastic box as an art exhibit, or you're going to have a painting that took 10 years to paint. We know where the real value is. It's not a plastic box that took a couple hours. It's a painting that took a year, 2 years, 6 months. The guy was dying or the woman was dying while she painted it. These are the things that we value because there's meaning to it. So when you get the entertainment field saying that they're making an immoral amount of money, well, that says something, especially when you couple it with Sheldon Adelson's fear of a great terror coming back, where the bottom start going after the top. And the only way that happens is if the bottom starts to starve. You're going to starve your population, you're going to cause a conflict. So change. It's absolutely needed, absolutely mandatory. And thank you for joining me on Anything Relevant.